Good morning. I'm Amy Slaughter-Myers, one of the co-rectors here at St. Francis Episcopal Parish and Community Center. There is a portion, a verse in Psalm 8, the traditional language version of Psalm 8, that is found in the Book of Common Prayer. On page 592 that I'd like to share with you. It is a verse that has always been a part of my spirit and my heart, and I am drawn to it again and again. This is Psalm 8. This is verses 4 and 5 and 6. I'll read those three. It's a song of praise to the wondrous majesty of God. When I consider your heavens, the psalmist is speaking to God, when I consider your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon and the stars you have set in their courses, what is man that you should be mindful of him? The Son of Man that you should seek him out. So again, that's the traditional language. The psalmist is saying, all of creation, all of the cosmos, and you, God, concern yourselves with the likes of human beings, with the likes of me, with the likes of my life and my relationships and the relationship of community and the relationship that we build together as human beings, even though you have created the heavens. This is such a beautiful expression, I think, of the wonder and awe that God's work inspires in us, and a reminder that we also, as human persons, are part of that wonder that God has created. As you likely know, the Psalms were written thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago, and so what the Psalms understand as the human person, indeed what the biblical witness understands as the human person, is very different in so many ways from what we as 21st century Americans understand as the human person. And yet it is so powerful. From my perspective, the more I learn from science and technology and physiology and psychology, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You think of all of those medical knowledge that we've gained about human people, all of the sort of ways, the fullness of the ways that we understand the human person, all of that only for me deepens my connectivity with the biblical witness, because I am opened even more deeply into the work of God, even in quarks and in genes and in epigenetics and all of these things that we know about now that were not known in the same way, let's say, as they were thousands of years ago. So the reason I say all that is that because we have this gift of centuries of human use of reason to study the human person, to study the mind, to study the body, we know that our spiritual life connects in ever more complex and beautiful ways between our physical health and our mental health and our emotional health. And some of the ways that we in our 21st century life and what we know about human relationships, we can work in those contexts with that knowledge in order to deepen our own spiritual life. Does that make sense? The reason I'm bringing this up is that Molly Phelps on Sunday, June 12th, from 1 to 5, is leading a retreat. It's an opportunity, really, for anyone who would like to spend some time in community here at St. Francis. The retreat has training aspects of it. It has opportunities to build relationships, both one-to-one and also in small groups. And it's called Nurturing Relationships and Navigating Conflict. Molly led this training for the vestry at the end of April, and it was so powerful. I know from my experience, the way that Molly wove together tools and reflection opportunities for us to pay attention to what's going on in ourselves, what's going on in our bodies as we communicate with one another, and to really give us some ways to think about that and to sit with that and to reflect on that, and then to share about that should we wish to with the other folks on the vestry. It was really a tremendous gift. It is a truism of the spiritual life that the more self-aware we are, the more aware of God we are. And so this is an opportunity to come together to learn more about yourself and how you show up in spaces, and how other people show up in spaces, and what gets in the way of building relationship, what gets in the way of loving neighbor, what gets in the way of our own expression and practice of loving God and loving neighbor. So please reach out to Molly if you have any questions, and I commend this training to you. Nurturing relationships and navigating conflict. It will enrich your spiritual life. It will enrich your family life. It will enrich your life as a human on this earth. So let's close from Psalm 8. O Lord, our governor, how exalted is your name in all the world. Out of the mouths of infants and children, your majesty is praised above the heavens. When I consider your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon and the stars you have set in their courses, what is man that you should be mindful of him, the son of man that you should seek him out? You have made him but little lower than the angels. You adorn him with glory and honor. Amen.